Picture late 1923 in the Soviet Union. A quiet net is being cast.
Yeah.
Think of a massive infrastructural system silently rerouting power in the dark. It doesn't happen with some dramatic military coup.
No, not at all.
It happens in the boring day-to-day administration of power. I mean, it happens through patronage. The state apparatus is quietly changing who controls the printing presses in the provinces.
Right.
They're replacing elected local leaders with appointed regional secretaries who owe their jobs, directly to the center. They are locking down the telegraph lines. All the switches and levers are being firmly secured.
Completely locked down.
Yeah. Then, on December 5th, the Central Committee passes a resolution titled On Party Building. And if you read it on paper, it looks like a total victory for the critics of the regime.
And it really does.
It explicitly acknowledges that the party apparatus has become bureaucratized.
Right.
It recognizes the suppression of internal democracy. It even calls for a new course, but it is a decoy.
Right.
It's like a massive corporation where the employees are threatening to strike, and management releases this memo promising sweeping reforms and unlimited feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
In reality, it is a pressure valve designed by the emerging Stalin faction to buy time, to calm the restless membership, and most importantly, to lay a trap.
They're basically testing whether the opposition can be drawn out into the open so they can be isolated later.
Right. And Leon Trotsky sees the trap. He understands the immense danger of this apparatus, but he also makes a decisive choice. The resolution has created a narrow opening, and he chooses to intervene.
He steps right into it.
This is In Defense of October, Episode 7, Lenin's Last Struggle and the Founding of the Left Opposition. Part 3, The Death of Lenin.
The question this part takes up is, could the revolutionary wing of the party prevail against the apparatus?
Right.
We are not taking sides here. We are not endorsing the viewpoints of any political faction. We are examining the historical events and ideas as they are presented in the source material.
So to bring you right up to speed on where we left off Lenin's political bomb, his absolute demand to remove Stalin from power was never delivered to the party.
No, it was suppressed.
And the German October of 1923, which was a revolutionary situation of just massive historical importance, was completely missed.
Yeah.
So in response to that growing crisis, Trotsky wrote his letter of October 8th, laying the political foundations of the left opposition. That was quickly followed by the submission of the Declaration of the 46.
Right.
So the battle lines are drawn. Now the apparatus strikes back. Let us place you right in the middle of December 1923. The stakes inside the Soviet Union are immense.
The tension is just incredible.
We have a party membership that is restless, agitated, and waiting for direction. The economy is struggling, and people in the cities are hungry.
Yeah.
And watching over all of it is the apparatus, the bureaucracy, quietly monitoring every move. The December 5th resolutions just passed, promising democracy on paper.
Right, that decoy.
Exactly. And 3 days later, on December 8th, 1923, Trotsky decides to put that promise to the test. He publishes a letter in the newspaper Pravda. It is called The New Course. It lands like a shockwave.
It really does. And Trotsky's core argument in the new course is about equilibrium.
Okay, how so?
Well, he argues that the center of gravity has shifted entirely into the hands of the apparatus. To fix this, it desperately needs to shift back to the active party members.
Right, restoring that balance.
Yeah, the balance between democracy and centralism has been destroyed by the bureaucracy. But the most explosive part of this document is a specific, direct warning he issues to the elders of the party.
The old guard.
Exactly. He's warning them about becoming what he calls mummified bureaucrats. The exact wording Trotsky uses here is critical.
What does he say?
He writes, "It would be a crude mistake to regard the authority of the party veterans as absolute. It is only by a constant active collaboration with the new generation, within the framework of democracy, that the old guard will preserve itself as a revolutionary factor. Of course, it may ossify and become unwittingly the most consummate expression of bureaucratism."
Ossify, that's a heavy accusation.
It is, and this concept of ossification is central to Marxist theory. Trotsky is drawing a direct parallel to the Second International. He points to figures like Wilhelm Liebknecht and August Bebel.
Stop right there for a second, because for those listening who might not be steeped in Marxist history, who exactly are Liebknecht and Bebel, and why is Trotsky comparing the current Soviet leadership to them?
Well, they were unquestioned veterans of the socialist movement. I mean, they were direct pupils of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels.
Wow, okay. So huge authority.
Right. Nobody doubted their revolutionary credentials. Yet over time, as they built massive trade unions and parliamentary parties in Germany, they adapted to their environments.
They got comfortable.
Yeah. They started prioritizing the stability of their organizations over the goal of revolution. When you spend decades managing pension funds, union halls, and parliamentary seats, you start to fear any disruptive action that might threaten those institutions.
Right. You want to rock the boat.
Exactly. They turned to opportunism. The formidable, powerful apparatus they built actually became a brake on progress. So Trotsky is taking that theoretical lesson and applying it to his own generation in Russia.
Right.
He is stating that no one, no matter how flawless their revolutionary resume is, remains immune to the material pressures of administering a state.
It is like watching the founders of a radical disruptive startup slowly morph into the exact kind of rigid corporate board they originally set out to destroy.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
They built the revolution, and now Trotsky is warning them that they are becoming the administrators of its stagnation. But if you are listening to this and wondering, how on earth does a highly disciplined, strict revolutionary party actually accommodate fierce internal dissent? Because when we hear the word discipline today, we usually think of strict obedience. Keep your head down and do what you are told. How does Trotsky square that circle?
He does it by pointing to the youth.
Right.
He calls the young communists the reliable barometer of the party. Trotsky recognized that the youth had not been tempered in the old underground struggle. That meant they were reacting to the new bureaucratic regime with acute sensitivity.
They were feeling the suffocation.
Exactly. To explain how they should act, Trotsky provides a classic definition of what it actually means to be a Bolshevik. He writes, "A Bolshevik is not merely a disciplined person. He is a person who in each case and on each question forges a firm opinion of his own and defends it courageously and independently, not only against his enemies, but inside his own party."
That is a wildly different definition of discipline than we are used to. Trotsky is saying true discipline means being a thorn in the side of the leadership if you think they are wrong.
Yeah, he continues the definition. Today, perhaps, he will be in the minority in his organization. He will submit, because it is his party. But this does not always signify that he is in the wrong. Perhaps he saw or understood before the others did a new task or the necessity of a turn. He will persistently raise the question a second, a third, a 10th time if need be. Thereby, he will render his party a service.
Wow.
This goes to the core of the Marxist concept of the subjective factor versus objective conditions.
Okay, let us break those terms down.
Yeah.
What do we actually mean by objective versus subjective here?
Well, the objective conditions are the physical realities on the ground. The Soviet Union is isolated globally because the revolution in Germany failed.
Right.
The economy is in crisis. The working class is physically exhausted from years of civil war and famine. Those objective factors push inevitably toward bureaucratization. Because when there is a line for bread, you need a police officer to manage the line, and that officer takes a little extra for himself.
Right. That is the objective pressure.
Exactly. The subjective factor is the conscious political struggle of the party vanguard. The party is not just a passive victim of those terrible material conditions. It can resist.
But it needs those critical thinkers to do it.
Right. It can only resist if it fosters independent, courageous thinkers who are willing to stand in the minority. It needs those active members rather than a passive rank and file just waiting for orders from an apparatus.
So Trotsky is essentially telling the youth to stand up to the old guard.
Yeah.
That is a direct threat. The apparatus hears this loud and clear. The Stalin faction realizes they cannot win a debate about party democracy or the current economic crisis. Trotsky has the better argument on those fronts.
Right, so they don't even try to debate among them.
Exactly. They do not even try. Instead, they do something completely different. We move the chronology to December 15th, 1923. Stalin publishes an article in Pravda. He completely ignores the economy. He ignores the regime inside the party. He shifts the terrain entirely to the past.
This marks the birth of a very specific kind of historical falsification. Stalin basically digs up out-of-context polemics from 1913.
From a decade ago.
Yeah. This was back when Trotsky and Lenin were in exile and had very sharp public disagreements. Stalin presents these old arguments, which Lenin himself had long since dismissed, to invent a new heresy called Trotskyism.
Wow.
The theoretical implication here is profound. By stripping away the context, omitting the years of successful collaboration during the Revolution and the Civil War, and deliberately hiding the recent political bloc Lenin and Trotsky formed against the bureaucracy.
Right.
Stalin replaces historical materialism with selective mythology.
It is the equivalent of a modern, coordinated disinformation campaign.
Yeah.
Think about someone digging up your 10-year-old texts or articles to get you fired today, completely ignoring everything you have done or said since.
Yeah.
You take a quote from 10 years ago, remove all the context, and flood the zone with it. And we have to remember how a disinformation campaign actually functioned in 1923 without the internet.
Oh, absolutely.
You are dealing with the physical vastness of Russia. Information only moves as fast as the state allows it to. The state controls the printing presses, they control the trains delivering the newspapers.
Right.
If Stalin prints an old, out-of-context quote in Pravda, Trotsky cannot just post a quick correction online. The apparatus has an information monopoly. It paralyzes public thought.
And Trotsky later observed the social dynamics that allow this kind of slander to actually work on a massive scale. He noted that slander only succeeds when the political curve indicates a drop.
Meaning what, exactly? What is a dropping political curve?
Well, when a society is advancing, when the revolution is on the march, public thinking is sharp. People grasp facts, they debate complex ideas, and they link them with broad generalizations.
They are engaged.
Right. But when the political curve drops, when the masses are exhausted, hungry, and disillusioned, the theoretical level lowers.
That makes sense.
The apparatus understands this perfectly. They begin appealing to reactionary social tropes instead of Marxist theory. They accuse Trotsky of wanting to rob the peasant. They engage in national bragging.
Wow.
Slander becomes this cold lava stream that presses down on the consciousness of the masses, leaving them stunned and overawed. They want an easy scapegoat, not a complex theoretical debate.
And while this campaign of falsification is raging, a physical reality breaks through. We arrive at January 21st, 1924.
Yeah.
It is 6:50 in the evening. Vladimir Ilyich Lenin dies at his dacha in Gorky. He's just 53 years old.
It's just devastating.
And Trotsky is not in Moscow when this happens. He is traveling to the Caucasus to recover from a persistent malaria-like fever. We shift the scene to the train station in Tiflis. The train is stopped.
Right.
Trotsky's assistant, Sirmux, walks into the compartment. His face is livid gray. He hands Trotsky a piece of paper. It is a decoded telegram from Stalin. Lenin is dead.
Such a heavy moment.
Trotsky immediately gets the Kremlin on the direct wire. He asks when the funeral is. The apparatus tells him it is on Saturday and that he cannot possibly make it back in time. They advise him to just continue his medical treatment in the South.
But the funeral wasn't on Saturday?
No, it was on Sunday. Trotsky could have easily made the journey back to Moscow. It is a deliberate deception by the apparatus to keep him away from the capital during the most critical transfer of power.
Right, because if Trotsky is at the funeral, he is the natural, visible successor standing next to the coffin.
Exactly. By manipulating the telegraph lines and the schedule to make him miss it, the apparatus paints him as arrogant or distant to the Russian people. Stuck at the station, with comrades waiting outside the train for a response, Trotsky sits down and writes a note by hand to be sent by wire back to the capital.
What does he write?
It simply says, Lenin has gone. Lenin is no more.
Man.
The contrast of the next few days is stark. In the freezing bitter cold of Moscow, hundreds of thousands of workers file past Lenin's body, mourning the man who led them to power.
Yeah.
Stalin steps up to deliver the funeral oration, posing as the sole devoted heir to Lenin's legacy. And immediately, against Trotsky's fierce protests, the apparatus begins the construction of a mausoleum on Red Square to house Lenin's body permanently.
The theoretical gravity of what the bureaucracy does here cannot be overstated. I mean, they take Lenin's embalmed corpse and they weaponize it against his living ideas.
It is the ultimate betrayal. You take a revolutionary who despised religious iconography, you stuff him, you put him in a glass box, and you turn him into a saint.
Right.
Because you cannot argue with a saint. You create a state religion where the apparatus acts as the sole priesthood, interpreting his word.
Precisely. By building the mausoleum, by cutting his vast writings up into safe, hypocritical quotations, they turn a fierce revolutionary thinker into a harmless icon.
Yeah.
They use the physical body of Lenin to legitimize their own power. And they do this while simultaneously burying the actual political program he fought for in his final days.
Which brings us to the 13th Party Congress shortly after. Lenin's testament, the document explicitly demanding Stalin's removal from power, is suppressed.
Completely hidden.
The apparatus uses its control to ensure it is hidden from the Soviet public, and it will remain hidden from them until 1964.
But history left a counterweight to these Stalinist falsifications. Shortly after Lenin's death, his wife, Nadezhda Krupskaya, sent a private, handwritten note to Trotsky. I will read it verbatim.
Please do.
Dear Lev Davidovich, I write to tell you that about a month before his death, as he was looking through your book, Vladimir Ilyich stopped at the place where you sum up Marx and Lenin and asked me to read it over again to him. He listened very attentively and then looked it over again himself.
So even in his final weeks, Lenin is actively studying Trotsky's work and seeking that theoretical connection.
Yes. And Krupskaya continues to deliver the final blow to the apparatus's narrative, she writes. And here is another thing I want to tell you. The attitude of VI toward you at the time when you came to us in London from Siberia has not changed until his death. I wish you, Lev Davidovich, strength and health, and I embrace you warmly.
Wow.
This note confirms that despite the manufactured claims of Trotskyism, Lenin's profound respect and political alignment with Trotsky had not changed since they first met in London in 1902.
It is incredible.
It stands as a devastating historical document against the apparatus. And this brings us back to the core question posed at the beginning. Could the revolutionary wing of the party prevail against the apparatus?
Right.
The central tragedy of this period is that by burying Lenin's political testament, hiding the bloc he formed with Trotsky, and suppressing the truth, the party was disarmed. The working class was forced to fight blind.
They didn't know what was happening at the top.
No, they didn't. The apparatus successfully manipulated the objective exhaustion of the masses and the dropping political curve to consolidate its control. Yet, the left opposition had nonetheless laid down the genuine Marxist alternative program.
They gave them a way out.
Exactly. They did not simply complain about the bureaucracy. They advocated a clear path forward. They demanded party democracy, rapid economic planning, the ruthless fight against bureaucratism, and the unyielding perspective of world revolution. The alternative to Stalinism was articulated, recorded, and fought for.
Lenin is dead. His testament is buried. The left opposition has laid down its program, but the forces of reaction are gathering. Next time, on In Defense of October, we open Episode 8, The Struggle Against Socialism in One Country.